Good morning. My name is Kathleen Stacy, and I am with United Way's Martin County's Treasure Coast Solutions. I am with United Way of Martin County RSVP program, and today we have the Humane Society of the Treasure Coast. And here with me is Deidre Huffman, the Customer Service Manager, and Sarah Fisher, the Volunteer Program Manager. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So last month we were talking about a disaster as June 1st was the kickoff for the season of disasters here in Martin County, hurricane season. So we started talking about being prepared and what you needed to have ready. And United Way has a program called the Neighborhood in the Know program, where we are doing a pre-disaster registration through RSVP, partnering with the Martin County Sheriff's Office and the EOC. And by neighborhood, the RSVP program has a grant that we register neighborhoods and see who's here, who's not here, who is ready, who has an evacuation plan, provide them with materials, and basically by neighborhood, get them all squared away and ready to go, so that if they needed to be notified of anything or evacuated, we had a plan in place. We touched upon pets. And so to carry that forward, today we have invited in the Humane Society to address that situation, because we know that pets are a very important part of the family. And so I am brought in Sarah and Deidre to discuss that with us today. So Deidre, I understand it's your specialty.
So the Humane Society of the Treasure Coast is Martin County's designated pet shelter in the event that there is a disaster, presumably hurricane, something along those lines. And it's a hurricane-proof building, and we are able to house the pets of Martin County residents that aren't able to take them with them safely in the event of an evacuation. You can pre-register online. This is the first year we've had the pre-registration online. In the past, you've had to come into the shelter to actually do so. You're more than welcome to still do so. And just as a safe place to make sure that your pet is safe, not being left in the building, in the home, that could become unsafe in the event of a disaster.
And what do people need to do to have their pet registered?
The registration process is really very simple. We get some basic information, your contact information, who to contact in the event that we can't get in touch with you, your pet's basic information. Ideally, they should be microchipped and up to date on their vaccines, just because they would be housed around other animals. You don't want any cross-contamination or anything along those lines. And the microchip provides proof of ownership in the event that something does happen and they are missing or anything along those lines. So even if you are taking you're not leaving your pet at the shelter, you're taking your pet with you, make sure that you have those up-to-date records and that microchip, or at least a collar with ID tags on it to indicate that that is your pet. Having up-to-date photos as well, so that you can, in the event that you do get separated, can say, hey, this is definitely my pet, and provide that to someone.
How far in advance do you have to register them, and how far in advance? Say there was an announcement that it's suggested that you evacuate, not mandatory, but it's suggested that you evacuate. How far in advance do you take them?
We are only able to take them once the evacuation has been made mandatory. So that does kind of limit some things. As far as first responders go, we can usually assist with those a little bit in advance, but we're not able to start taking them until an evacuation has actually been made. You can pre-register up until, day of, until you're actually there and at the shelter. It's a pre-registration just so you have some of the paperwork out of the way.
But it's not a guaranteed placement.
It's not a guaranteed placement. We'll accommodate as many as we can. The last hurricane that we had that came through that we were housing animals for, I believe we housed somewhere close to 150 animals that were not already at the shelter prior to that. So that was 150 pets of the Publix that we were helping and housing, which is quite a lot.
It is. So what do you do during that time with staff and volunteers? And
So once that emergency has been declared, it's all hands on deck. Staff members are coming in, they're helping clean, keep things sorted. We have a game plan in place for making sure that all the animals stay happy, healthy, safe, and getting people checked in, making sure the animals are going to designated places within the building. Oftentimes, we do open up shelter pets for foster for the hurricane if someone knows that they they have the ability to take an extra pet with them as they're leaving, or they are staying and they're in a safe place, to help us make more space for the animals that are coming in.
And I think like 2 years ago, we had only like 4 dogs left because we had so many people coming in of our own dogs. We had so many people coming in fostering, which was amazing.
Stepping up and helping out those animals.
Oh, that's wonderful. So say I have a pet, Fido, and I'm very attached to him, and I want you to feed him his own food, and I'm close by at a shelter. Can I come and visit him? Can I?
We're not equipped to handle visitors typically. We do strongly recommend, especially if he's on a special diet or anything like that, to please bring some of his food with him. We can't, because of the nature of it being a shelter environment and how squirrely things can get sometimes, we don't recommend leaving, cuddly plushies, blankets, things like that have sentimental value, just in case we have to wash it, it gets mixed up in the laundry, things along those lines. But you're more than welcome to leave them with, special diet, any medication they need, things like that. But we're not equipped to set up for visitors during that time.
Wonderful. You are very knowledgeable. How long have you been with the Treasure Coast Humane Society?
3 years.
Wow. Wow, you're very, very knowledgeable.
Thank you.
So, Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'm Sarah. I'm the volunteer program manager, and I also run the mobile adoption program. So mobile adoptions is any animal that gets adopted outside of the shelter is considered a mobile adoption, and that makes up about 21% of our adoptions. We have about 500 volunteers that volunteer on a weekly basis, and we have about 750 to about 800 that volunteer on a yearly basis. So we're always looking for volunteers. We have different seasons. We have, especially right now for the summer season, a ton of our volunteers are going on vacation. Some volunteers are leaving indefinitely for school or just moving. We have snowbirds that just left. So right now, at this very moment, we really, really need volunteers in many, many departments. And in order to start volunteering, volunteers have to go to a volunteer orientation. We actually have our next one Saturday, July 13th at 2 p.m. And if anyone's interested, they can just show up to the orientation. We have another one Saturday, July 27th at 2 p.m. And they can also show up to that one. So once they go to orientation, they we'll get them set up to get trained, and they'll have about 2 training sessions, 2 to 3, depending on the department. And then they can start volunteering on their own, whichever department they're interested in.
And how old do you have to be to volunteer?
Volunteers need to be at least 12 years old. 12 to 15 must be with an adult. And then 16 and up, they can volunteer on their own.
So just for those of you that are listening, Sarah has very adeptly registered a lot of her volunteers with United Way, and she does do her hourly input monthly through the system. She doesn't have to send me timesheets. She enters her volunteer hours remotely from her place of business to ours. So for those agencies who don't do that, I encourage you to get with me. She has her own password. She feeds herself right into our system, saves me time, and does a great job at it. So thank you very much.
United Way is such an asset. So thank you, Kathleen, so much.
Well, it's a great partnership. And speaking of partnerships, we do have coming up, I believe it is the 8th of July. I think it's a Thursday this year. We have a Directors of Volunteers and Agencies meeting at the Elliott Museum, where all of the volunteer coordinators are invited to meet over lunch. And we have very stimulating conversations or topics. that address issues that the volunteer coordinators have with their volunteers or their staff members or just about anyone we encounter. So it's a networking for the volunteer coordinators, and we get a lot done. We have a great time, and we all get to bond, and it's wonderful. So if you are interested and you are a Martin County nonprofit agency, we invite you to get in touch with us, and we are happy to have you join us. So that's coming up.
That's very beneficial too, because I've been to some of them, as you know, and you get to talk to all the different volunteer coordinators and hear their feedback and what issues they might come across. And we all can kind of talk to each other as a team. So it is wonderful.
Big, small, all of us.
Yes.
And the place that we're having it at, the Al Simbritz is the volunteer coordinator, and his wife makes an awesome Kahlua cake.
Ooh.
He shared the
Don't tempt
recipe,
us.
and I make it like every other month.
Yeah.
So hats off to Al. But yeah, so that's coming up for us. Do you, Deidre, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Where'd you come from?
I originally came here from Savannah, Georgia, where I was working in a previous Humane Society. So I come with a little bit of a background. I needed something a little bit different, and Humane Society of the Treasure Coast is where I found it. And it's been great.
Do you have family down here?
I have family in Orlando. My parents are down in there, so
neat.
or up there.
Well, wonderful. We're happy to have you.
Thanks.
So today, because Mark isn't here, but I know you're listening, Mark, I promised him that I would not make a disaster of all of this.
Doing a good job.
Thanks, Mike. We have a lot of other things going on, so we're going to touch on some of those. Today at the Blake Library, the United Way of Martin County has our big reveal of the funding announcements. We will be revealing 55 grants that we are funding. I believe last year we had 47. So join us for the great reveal. It is at 10:30 at the Blake Library in the auditorium. So we're very excited. All the agencies come. No one knows who's being funded, not even me. So I'm really excited. I was on vacation last year when it happened. So I moved my vacation this year so I could be here. So I'm excited about that. And that's a really neat thing. And so please join us if you're free. And I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the volunteer opportunities that we have. As Sarah had said, in the summer, we are desperate for volunteers because a lot of them have headed north. The kids are going to school, headed off to college. So all of the nonprofits that we work with, and I know I work with 70 of them, so we do have a lot. They are really looking for volunteers. We have, with the registration process, on the form, we go by interest areas. So for me at United Way, on the back side of the registration form, it has interest areas. So if you came to me and said, I want to volunteer at a thrift store, I might look at your application and say, well, which one? I have 12. So if it's something that tugs at your heart, say Treasure Coast Hospice or the Humane Society or one that tugs at your heart, or if you want one near your home. So I have your address and I can say, well, such and such is right around the corner from you. So that's kind of it for how I do it. I am always on the volunteer aspect of it, not on the agency side. Sorry, girls. And it's really just so that when an agency sends me their request, for me, it may be way too long if they say, here's a good example, the air show. I love the Stewart Air Show. United Way has a gate there. If you went right to the air show and said, I want to volunteer, they have an 8-hour shift. That's awesome. Not for me.
It's a long day.
I break it into 2 4-hour shifts, and you still get parking. You still get to go into the air show. You still get lunch. You still get a t-shirt from them. We also give you a United Way t-shirt. But we break it into 2 4-hour shifts so that it's not as long, it's not as tedious. I do specialize in volunteers that are 55 and older. And so I look at it from their perspective. It would kill me, who is over 55, to work a full 8-hour day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my perspective of it. And I look at it from that aspect. So when people come to me and I think it's like way too long or way too hard, I'm like, you need to do this. So, and if someone registers with United Way and they say, well, I want to do this, but I'm not sure, I tell them, go ahead and do it. And I will send them an email and say you're coming. And then if you don't like it, you tell me. And I'm happy to say it wasn't for them. So those are called on-call opportunities. We have a couple coming up. One is for poverty simulation that is August 22nd at the Blake Library. Terry Dick is the contact for that. It's from 8:30 to 12:30. And it's really role playing for the volunteers. You will be a business owner or a health department worker or a grocery store clerk, and they're looking for volunteers to play those roles. They train you, so that takes 40 minutes, and then the event is from 8:30 to 12:30. Again, Terry Dick at the Blake Library is the contact for that. It is on a Thursday. But her phone number is 772-219-4906. I do have all that information.
So looking for volunteers for people to role play various roles. What's the goal? What's the information we're looking to glean from this?
They are trying to take all the library volunteers and staff members and having them having them live a day in poverty to really walk in the shoes of someone who's living in poverty. A lot of us have never done it. A lot of us have. If you've been to college, you certainly have. Or a single parent, or you would face the struggles that these people would face on a daily basis. And let me tell you, I have done it 3 times. By the 3rd time, I got the system down and I could play the system. So I get how they do it. And sometimes we sit there and go, oh my gosh, they so abuse the system. They just know how to work it because they have to work it to maintain their life. The first time I was so flustered. I had a headache by the time I was done, and I had 2 children, no husband. And when you walk in, they assign you who you are. And that's your lot in life. Yeah. So it was very interesting. But I've done it 3 times. And by the 3rd time, I'm like, I got this. So, and I did. But so I walk a day in the life of someone who is really struggling. So it's very interesting, and they want to do it for their library staffers, and it's pretty cool. It's actually our kit. It's United Way's kit. We purchased it, so it is our kit, and we loan it to partners to do it. So, Martin County Parks and Rec on July 13th, they are having a family fun day. So they have all kinds of positions that they want that they have available for you to volunteer with. It is a great thing to do. I can tell you they had something last month, the world's largest swimming lesson. The only downside of that is that they have a registration form that's a little lengthy. So if you're okay with that, you'll have a great time. They have activities for everyone. The event's going to be held in Jensen Beach, and it's from 10 to 2. So it's really fun, not a long time. But they have food trucks, food vendors, educational demonstrations, face painting, an interactive DJ. They have a ton going on. It's a great event to do. And I don't believe you have to I think you can be 13 years old to volunteer. They have set up. Fun. It's really it's a neat thing. So, and they're looking for volunteers.
When I was in high school, we had to volunteer to get Bright Futures scholarships. Exactly. Is that still a thing?
It is still a thing.
And is it still, so as a teenager who's looking to get hours of community service for the Bright Futures, they can come to you at the United Way and say, I just really need these hours. Where can I do this?
Yep. Yeah. And so what I always tell people are, and actually I had a young man not very long ago, came home from college and needed hours. I said, you take a picture of yourself with your watch in front of, and I gave him something to stand in front of, and he did. And I said, and you do it again at the end of your shift so that I know you are there, because I'm not going to come out and check on him. And I made him do it. And they sent me the pictures, and I had him send them to my cell phone.
Nice.
So I know he was there. And then I wrote him a letter. You can have someone there sign it for you, but I have very specific people. And if they can't find them, sometimes it's a little hard. So if you're already registered with United Way, then I am fine with that. And I have the people that I tap and say, take attendance. Did this person show up? So, and I a lot of times do that. But if it's someone who their parents live here, I make them, You never know what I'm going to make them do. But I have done that. Yes, a lot of it counts for Bright Futures. In fact, Meals on Wheels is very short at this time of year. So my challenge to a lot of people and agencies is to pick up a route, call Curletha Campbell at Meals on Wheels and tell her your company wants to pick up a route. What we've done at United Way as our CEO, Carol Howard Dietz, has been wonderful. This is our second year. We've picked up a route, and what we do is 2 people, and actually she's allowed our employee to take their children. They do a route 2 weeks in a row, so they know the route, and it takes us about 2 hours. We have 14 people, and they do the route twice, and then another employee will take a route the next 2 times. So we do it for the whole summer.
You know, I used to volunteer in Broward for, it was for Meals on Wheels, but it was actually Meals for Pets. And it assisted Meals on Wheels. So we would bag up all the food, and then we would go take the meals for the humans and the meals for the pets that we just bagged up, and we would go on those routes and bring them to, the people's houses. It's a wonderful program.
They do take food for the pets. I tend to be a little chatty, so I don't go very often. At the end of the route, the people are like, "Where have you been?" But I have till 2:00, and I know that. And I do tend to go, wait, I'm a volunteer. So, but this is our second year doing it. And so agencies or businesses that are out there, go ahead and do it. Approach your boss. It is a great thing. The first year we did it, I said to the girls at work or the ladies at work, I know everyone has a preconceived idea that these are really sickly people and you don't want to go there. There is nothing wrong with these people. They just don't want to cook. And maybe they can't drive. And like my parents, I hope you're not listening, my parents, they, like my mom's eyesight isn't very good. So it's kind of worrisome. You really don't necessarily want them cooking all the time. But it's these people are wonderful. In fact, one lady said, I know you. She volunteered for the White Doves Holiday Project. And I looked at her and I said, I know you. I said, you're one of my volunteers. And she had emergency open heart surgery.
Oh, wow.
And then, of course, she said, you look very different in work clothes. But it's a great thing. And these people are so nice. Some are waiting for you because you're the only person that they see. But it's really, really fun. So
my grandfather has Meals on Wheels. He's 95. He can't cook for himself. And it's such a huge asset for him. Yeah.
And when you go there, there's extra bread and there's pastries and you can take them. And so it really is neat. So if anyone has free time, they are always looking for that. Of course, you need help everywhere. I have you down. I brought your opportunities. We ask our agencies to update them twice a year. So coming up in July and then in January, we ask them to refresh them because they're on volunteermatch.org and they're also in our United Way database that feeds to the website, but I'm also in the newspaper for those people who like to touch things. So I'm in the Treasure Coast newspaper on Sundays. Sometimes because it's on the other side of the state, it takes them a little bit to catch up, but I update them every week. That's great. Well, a lot of people like to touch them. Yeah. And then they call me. And so those are in there. And, but everybody is really looking for assistance as far as that goes. And
so if there's something specific people want to volunteer for, they can come in and say, hey, I heard you talking about this. I want to do that. Or they could come in and say, I like pets.
Yep.
What do I do with that? Or I've got 5 hours to burn on a Tuesday.
Or I got a DUI. I have community service.
Or that too.
I have places for those too. Yep. And well. I do usually send them somewhere that needs to be cleaned up. Yeah. So, because a lot of places do need that as well.
And, something I wanted to mention, when people always say they want to volunteer with pets, but they don't have that heart to see the pets in the cages. We have an opportunity to volunteer. We have 2 thrift stores that are in Stewart, and we do have cats there, but the cats, they have have kind of free range of their enclosed cat area. So a lot of people, they want to help the animals. They just can't make it, to the shelter because their heart's just going to explode. So they can volunteer at our thrift stores. They could be cashiers, pricers. They can price donations, sort donations, go through clothes. There's tons of different things. And then all the money that we make from our thrift stores, 100% goes back to the animals in our care. And it makes about a third of our budget. So between both of our thrift stores, we make $1 million a year, and that goes directly to the animals and our emergency medical fund. So it is a huge, huge help. And we always, always need volunteers at our thrift stores, especially cashiers.
And where is your thrift store?
We have 2 thrift stores. One is on the border of Jensen on US 1 next to Goodwill and Restore. And the other one's in Stewart, right next to Southern Pig and Cattle and Pet Supermarket.
And are they open 7 days?
They're open 7 days a week, 10 to 5, and they are completely donation based. So if you can't volunteer and you want to donate, we offer pickup and delivery. I think it's 3 to 4 days a week. During the week, we can pick up anything from your house or deliver. And we take tons of different things, animal supplies. We take clothing, electronics, jewelry, lots of furniture. So all at a very, very good price if you want to shop there as well.
And what's the phone number?
Okay, phone number is 772-232-4887 is at our North store. And our Central store that's in Stewart is 772-286-6909.
Perfect. Sounds like a good place to take a break.
You got it.
And we're back. How's that, Mark? Pretty good, huh?
Mark, who's that?
Well, I don't know, but I know he's listening. So we are back at Treasure Coast Solutions with the Humane Society of the Treasure Coast. I have Sarah Fisher and Deidre Hoffman, sorry, from the Humane Society, and we are talking about what is going on. And so tell me more about some of the trainings that you have.
Okay. A lot of people don't know this, but we actually offer obedience classes at our shelter. They're 6 weeks, and it's $140 for your dog. If you adopted the dog through the Humane Society, it's $130. So you get a $10 discount. And it's
Other way around. You get a $30 discount.
Oh, $30 discount.
Yes. So it's only
Thank you.
$110.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you, Deidre. So It's a 6-week program, and it's with our animal behavior and training specialist, Heidi Fisher. She is spectacular. She's like the dog whisperer. She knows so much.
Is she related to you?
No, she spells her last name differently.
Okay.
A lot of people ask that though. And she works. Basically, people come in and they say my dog's reactive, or the dog they need crate training, things like that. And she does it in a group of 8 different dogs with their owners, and she trains the dogs and the owners. So it's a really good program. And she also, which is new, we started offering a one-on-one session with Heidi. So if you don't think your dogs are going to be good in a small group setting, you can meet with her one-on-one, and it's $40 per session. And then she can go over a specific issue that you might have with your dog. We also offer agility training. So we have a huge agility course in the back. And if you're interested in that, you can go on our website and speak to Jessie Clifford. She's our humane education director, and she'll give you details on the agility field. And on top of that, we have Heidi and some of our dog training volunteers taking our dogs from the adoption floor out to the agility field. So we've been working with our personal dogs that are up for adoption, training them on agility, and training them to sit and to stay and to sit pretty so they can get adopted easier. So it's a really, really good program.
Yeah, that program is really helpful for them. They learn the skills that they're going to need in a home environment, not necessarily just to help keep them happy while they're here in the kennels, because we don't want them there, but also different things to help them out in the home. It's been really good for them.
I have a quick question. So when you adopt a dog, you can have them spayed or neutered, correct?
All animals, well, except for like guinea pigs and hamsters and things. Pretty much everything is already spayed or neutered at the time that they're being adopted from us.
Cats, and rabbits.
As up to date on vaccines as they can be. Microchip gets registered to you. All medical that they've needed up to that point has been taken care of.
Deworming and temperament testing too for all of our animals. So before they're even up for adoption, they have all of that.
And what if I have a pet that I got somewhere else and I want them to be spayed or neutered? Do you do that?
You can. We do offer public spay neuter services. You can give us a call. We can schedule it's a prepaid, non-refundable appointment. Dogs are $100. Cats are $50. Bunnies are $50 as well. And that includes the spay or neuter, the microchip, and the rabies vaccine. On the dogs and cats, the bunnies, it's just the spay or neuter.
What other animals do you have?
We'll have a little bit of everything.
It sounded like it when you mentioned guinea pigs.
Okay, my favorite is we always get in big, giant potbelly pigs.
Do you?
Yes.
We recently
house
had
pigs.
a 400-pound
I
one.
think my daughter may have mentioned that, and I said she couldn't go down there.
And we get tons of roosters too.
Do you?
Typically, it's domesticated pet animals. So bunnies, guinea pigs, the occasional chinchilla, of course, dogs and cats, ferrets, things like that. We do accept house pigs upon occasion as we have space available. Animal control has brought us roosters and chickens and
Doves.
hens and doves that are in need of new homes. So if you're looking for something specific, come
Ask,
have a look,
yes.
ask, check our website.
That's
All of our
crazy,
available
yeah.
pets are listed on our website.
So even
you
though
never
they're-
know what you're going to find.
They're kind of technically wild animals. Some of them are domesticated. So the ones that are deemed domesticated will be at our shelter.
Or at Jesse's house?
Yes, Jessie has a whole full house over
Oh
there.
my gosh. No wonder she doesn't have kids.
Yeah.
That's funny.
What about specific breeds of dogs? Like if there was a particular breed that you wanted, but you didn't want to go through a breeder, could you kind of call up and say, hey, I'm looking for so-and-so, do you have it, or can I get put on a list?
So we don't have a waiting list. We actually found that when we did have a waiting list, it was preventing animals from going home in a timely fashion.
Okay.
And they were staying there far longer than if there had been no list. So the best thing if you're looking for something very specific is to check our website, check it regularly. All the animals listed on there, it's live. So as soon as an animal's available for adoption, they show up on the website. When they're adopted, they come off.
Mhm.
And as soon as you see something that you're interested in, come on down to the shelter to meet them. Small dogs, especially small breed dogs, Shih Tzus, Havanese, things like that. When they do come in, they get adopted really
Yes.
quickly.
Mhm.
Very,
So
very-
it's all about
within a
the
few
time
days.
of, having and looking and being ready as soon as they're available.
So do you both have dogs?
Yes.
I don't.
Oh, you
wow.
don't?
No. I have 2 cats. I'm a crazy cat lady.
you
Yeah.
are. One of my kids is a crazy cat lady.
Yeah. I could have 15 if it wasn't for my husband.
Wow.
Yes, husbands.
Hey.
Sorry, Mike. What do you have?
Cat and a dog.
There you go.
What kind of dog?
French bulldog.
Oh, cool. Those are
Mhm.
fun.
Yes, he's a little monster.
Huh. Good for you.
Yeah.
So what other programs do you have?
We partner with a lot of our pet stores, so a lot of people don't know that.
Oh, good.
The partnering pet stores that we have, they are spectacular and they are huge supporters of us and our shelter. Along with housing our cats. So if you go in to Pet Supplies Plus in Port St. Lucie, Petco and Stewart, and then we partner with 4 different pet supermarket locations. We have our cats over there, and we also have events. So we randomly will bring our dogs or our bunnies there at a booth, and we'll sit and promote adoptions there. So the staff there is wonderful. They actually clean the cats for us, do their own adoptions. They take care of everything. And they also get donations in from the public, and then they call me and I go pick it up, and they really stock up our shelter with everything we need. So really nice, high quality donations. We really couldn't do it without them. So shout out to them.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Yeah.
right. I have seen you up in Jensen because I don't go near you then. That's
And,
wonderful.
and I just wanted to talk about a little bit about our events that are coming up.
Perfect.
So this event is for the crazy cat ladies like me. I usually am at this event because I absolutely love it. We have cat yoga. And we have 3 dates coming up: July 10th, July 27th, and August 31st. And basically, it's at our main shelter in our toll building, which is our education center. And you get mats and you get yoga supplies. You lay on the floor on your mats, and there's a ton of kittens running across you. It is so much fun. And last time we had pictures of the yogis, and they had kittens like in their shirts, and they were just cuddling kittens while they're doing yoga. So it's just so much fun. And so the next one that's coming up is July 10th. The doors open at 5, and then the class starts from 5:30 to 6:30.
Is that at night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, too early. 5:30 is way too early in
It
the morning
is.
to do that. No one will come. So that's one of our really fun events that I love.
And is there a charge for it?
Yes, I'm not sure the pricing off the top of my head, but if they want to go on our website, hstc1.org, and if they click the tab events, it'll show pricing there, and they can register there.
So if you send me the flyer, I
Mhm.
am happy to also
Okay,
send it out to our volunteers.
that'd be great. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
I'll say, hey, y'all, cat ladies.
Crazy cat ladies and men.
I could see that being a fun event. We had a kitten once, and that little monster climbed everything very
Oh,
quickly.
kittens
They
are
could only
monsters.
stay small. I like them
Yeah.
small.
Yeah. But just like walk into a room and just feel something tugging on the pants. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
the cat's on my shoulder.
Yeah,
Yep.
they love to climb.
Yep.
So we also have another event that I want to talk about. It's called the Pup Crawl. It's August 3rd from 5:30 to 11. It's $30, and I believe it's 5 or 6 different bars that are in downtown Stewart, and you start at one bar, and it's a pup crawl. So you can bring your dogs, and you can have a drink at each bar. You get a certain amount of tickets, and all the money goes back to the shelter. We also do raffles and live auction, things like that. So
And
that's
I think I
wonderful.
knew some people that Ubered home.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, it's a lot of fun. So
What was the date on that one?
August 3rd, and it starts at 5:30 in downtown Stewart.
You got
Yes.
it. So I will have the flyers also at United Way. So if you can't remember to email them or go on their website, you can certainly contact us at United Way. We claim we know everything. So there you go. But well, that is wonderful. So is there anything you guys needed to touch on?
I mean, I can touch on some of our volunteer needs if that's okay.
That is perfect.
Okay. Right now, we really need volunteer dog walkers. So we're looking for people that can walk a 50-pound pulling dog. That's kind of the way I put it. They need to be strong enough to handle our big dogs. So usually a 2-hour shift. And once you finish your training to be a dog walker, we actually have our mobile adoption program, which is really great.
Oh, cool.
If you want to get, even if it's like your day off and you just want to take a dog out to go to a pet friendly restaurant, we can coordinate that with you. You can just pick out a dog with your family, go to a restaurant. We have volunteers that take dogs to Starbucks and they get them a puppuccino. And then we have dogs that go to our various events. So we're always looking for volunteers that can come to the shelter, get an adoptable dog, put an Adopt Me Fest on the dog, and then go to the different locations.
And do you have a list of the locations they can go to?
We do.
There you
Yeah. And then we're actually starting this Sunday. It's called a Sunday Fun Day program. So volunteers that they have to already be trained to handle the dogs, but once they're trained, they can take dogs out into the town. So we're looking for businesses that want to partner with us so we can bring our dogs to their business. And we have a list of different locations and organizations that wouldn't mind us popping in and showing up with our dog any Sunday between 11 and 2. So we're so excited to get that started this Sunday.
That is great. And also don't forget students and college people. It counts for Bright Futures. So
Mhm.
if you need hours, what a great way to do it. And Sarah can sign your Bright Futures paper.
Yes.
And I know it's all online. Trust me, I'm in there. But you can have Sarah do it and verify you and sign off on your hours. So
We have an iPad clock in and we have sign-ins, and
perfect.
I know volunteers send me things virtually, so I always sign off on that. And another way to get hours is through our foster program. So fostering volunteers can get hours based on the day. And fostering an animal is basically any animal that can't go up for adoption for one reason or another will go into foster care. If they have like an animal cold, like kennel cough, and they need antibiotics. If they maybe come in because they're hit by a car, broken leg, something like that, they can go. And we really want them to rest in a nice, quiet home. We do have isolation units if we can't find a foster home for those animals, but it's a really wonderful program.
They get better faster in a home environment.
Yes.
So it's really great for them to be able to not have to be in the stress of a kennel and get out, be in a home, get to feeling better. It's really great, especially for the adult kitties with upper respiratory infections. They feel puny. They don't want to be there.
That's
a
our
lot of
biggest
times
need.
getting home into a home environment, they perk up just that little bit of a change. So anybody who's willing and able to take that on is greatly appreciated and should definitely reach out.
Yeah, and on top of it, this is really good if they want to learn about like veterinary sciences and things like that. They that's how I learned, and I ended up getting, because I was a foster, I ended up getting a job as a vet assistant because I learned how to administer medications, clean ears, things like that. I learned about all the different antibiotics, so that's really good to learn. We also have that we just started a foster to adopt program. Do you want to talk about
the foster to adopt program is relatively new. It's still in its pilot stages. But basically it's for, it's a trial run for families who might not be quite sure if they're ready to bring this new animal into their home. It's 2-week time frame where it really is just a trial run for dogs, cats, critters, whoever whoever it is. It is only the only animals that are a year or older are eligible. So it's a little bit more also for our long-term residents to get them a chance to be in a home environment, get to show someone their good side. They're not always showing their best selves when they're here in the kennel environment, but just to kind of see how it goes, make sure that this is a good fit for their household, and they're able to take them home, give it that try. And then if it doesn't work out, bring them back. No harm, no foul. We now know more information to help make that good match, and set them up with someone else.
Oh, that is perfect.
Yeah.
What a great test run for mothers.
Yeah.
I mean, that is great.
We get that concern a lot. People
Yeah. Oh,
aren't
sure.
sure, so they don't want to commit to adopting if they're not sure. So this is perfect for them.
Better than the goldfish.
Yes.
So, did you have any other ones? Because I have some other agencies who are begging for help as well. Okay,
go for it.
The Elliott Museum is now looking for tour guides. So if anyone is interested in doing that, they are the Treasure Coast Historical Society is what they're called, but they are looking for tour guides. You do have to stand on your feet. The shift is 4 hours. They're also looking for anyone with a chauffeur's license to drive their bus. So, yeah, that'd be a cool job, but I don't have a chauffeur's license.
I didn't realize that there was a separate chauffeur's license.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. So yeah. So they are looking for that. We do have lots of thrift stores. Again, the Council on Aging needs lots of help. Habitat for Humanity also is looking for thrift store help as well. Of course, United Way, I do have that hurricane project that we are working on. So if you are in a neighborhood, it's really for the retired senior volunteer program, those that are 55 and older, that attend the neighborhood watch. That's who we use because they're already in the neighborhood doing their neighborhood watch program, and your neighbors already know them. So they're in that neighborhood. And a funny story, my neighborhood would not do it. But then we had a neighbor who was not missing, but not responding. And of course they had something happened to them and they were put in the hospital. Nobody knew where they were. The mail was backing up. No one could find them. As it turned out, their records that they had on file were from 2009. So they called the sheriff's department. Well, the sheriff's department is really not understaffed, but they were all really tied up and said, we're sorry, we can't help you right now. We'll get to you when we can. And they finally were able to locate a daughter to find out where this neighbor was. And they said, so, the inter-neighborhood programs that they have. And they said, this is terrible. How did this happen? How did this happen? I said, well, we do have a program that I pitched you guys and you weren't interested in it. And now, of course, they're like, this is what we need. So, it just keeps tabs on your neighbors, where they are, who's in their household, when they're here. And we don't even keep the information. I have a sheet that says, here's the neighbors' names, when they're here, when they're not here. And I don't even have contact information because I don't care. I just need to prove that they were surveyed. And so the neighborhood watch or the HOA has everybody. And the 911 has a book, the identical book in their 911 office. So they just pull it by neighborhood. When the nurse was abducted a couple of years ago in Hope Sound, they had to go door to door to knock and find out, do you have a camera? Did you, did anybody catch anything on their camera? So we have a line item in there that says, do you have a security camera? We don't care what it is. They just want to know, do you have a security camera? So that if a car drove by, if someone ran through your yard, could we look at the video or could you look at the video and see if maybe you caught something that they can use instead of knocking on your door and saying, hey, do you have a video?
And I think in that case, it was a piece of a corner of the car that they just happened to catch in one of those cameras that allowed them to figure out what was going on.
They enhanced it and caught the corner of the car.
Amazing.
It is. So that's one of the line items in there. And then we provide them with disaster information and next of kin. And then I do have people who call me and say, hey, can I register with you? Because that would make me feel better. And the EOC, a lot of people don't realize it, but every year, if you have special needs, you have to re-register with the EOC for shelter.
Every year.
Every year. And if you don't, when we had the last hurricane scare and they made people evacuate, they had 200 people registered. And when they had the mandatory evacuation, they had 500 people. So they said our planning was horrible because no one was registered and people need oxygen and transportation. And they've said to me, hey, if we need to, we will send our jail buses out to get these people from the neighborhood so we can move them. Because now they deem anyone without a car is deemed special needs because they're going to need help to get out of harm's way. So we do have that program. If you want to be in charge of your neighborhood and getting the information, I have some neighborhoods that only have 66 people and they are on board and doing it. And I have actually Indian Towns doing it, Indianwood. They have 555 people, and they are doing it. So I've traveled out there, and they're on board, and yay, let's do it, they said. So no cost to anybody except for me, because I do the paperwork. So
Thank you.
but but it's all good. It's a great pre-planning thing. And again, I want to invite everyone to the Blake Library today at 10:30. I'm heading there after this for the funding announcements for United Way. We're funding 55 programs. Come be a part of the fun excitement. And I hear the desserts are great. That's what they promised me. Come
Trying
on
to
down.
bribe
We have
them.
cookies. Yeah. Yay.
Kahlua and cake, hold the cake.
There you
Yeah.
go. So, and then again, we have Dovia for volunteer coordinators coming up on July 8th. So I think that may about do it. I would like to thank you, Deirdre, and thank you, Deirdre. Sorry, I'm
It's
not.
okay.
I'm from the north. And thank you very much, Sarah, for joining us from
Thank
the Humane
you.
Society. And that should do it for Treasure Coast Solutions. Mark, seeing you.